It's a drama. It's like theater being played out.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury.
I'm very worried very much about the tension in North Korea because I think for the first time the United States has a president who does not think through carefully his public statements. And in this kind of a tense situation, when you have statement by impulse rather than by thoughtful design, it only ratchets up the tension even further.
Bluffpoker van Noord-Korea, dreigen met oorlog en aanval op Amerika, maar niemand wil oorlog. Niemand.
The Americans desperately do not want to start a war in the Korean Peninsula because the North Koreans have the ability, through conventional weapons, to exact a great price on downtown Seoul, the South Korean capital.
So a preemptive strike is not very probable.
It's not very probable, but it gets more probable the closer the North Koreans get to a test of a kind that the Americans feel they can no longer tolerate. Because there's a key point here, which is once North Korea develops the unambiguous ability to hit part of the United States with a nuclear warhead, then you're in very dangerous territory from the American point of view, because that means that everything henceforth that the United States does in Asia, it has to think in the back of its mind that it can be attacked by North Korea. And that automatically alters American behavior.
Pyongyang wil respect afdwingen, maar paradoxaal genoeg is het eigenlijk veiliger zonder dan met kernwapens, zegt Kaplan.
North Korea may actually be safest, the regime that is, safest now with almost a nuclear weapon. But once it crosses the threshold and it actually, deploys one, then it may become very unsafe as a regime, because then the incentive to remove the regime would be even greater.
Noord-Korea was altijd al een speelbal van de grootmachten, een product van de Koude Oorlog.
Remember that North Korea came into existence much more because of Russia than because of China. It was Stalin who promoted Kim Il-sung, in the aftermath of World War II, and essentially helped set up the North Korean government. China was weak then, remember. Mao didn't come into power until 1949. China was still in the last phases of a civil war, so to speak, following World War II. But the Russians now have very little leverage. They're not big players in the Far East the way they used to be. They're not big players because the Russian Far East never developed economically the way the rest of the Pacific developed economically starting in the 1970s. China, of course, is the big player. It supplies most of North Korea's, most of what North Korea needs to exist: food, coal, etc., etc. So the American strategy, to the degree that one exists, has to be to pressure North Korea more and more and hope that the Chinese intervene to help the Americans substantially in boxing in controlling North Korea. In other words, it's a drama. It's like theater being played out. But the main event is real. The main character who's slightly off stage is China.
Gevaarlijk drama, maar hoe echt is het? Komt er nu oorlog of niet?
I don't think a war is at hand, but I will say that the possibility for war has gone up significantly. We're just not at the 50% base point yet, where one can say it's 50-50 whether there'll be war or peace. It's still significantly below 50-50, but it's risen significantly.